Hi there, welcome back to the channel. This week's video, I think I'm going to do a roundup of what's been happening recently, show you the progress I've made and discuss what's to come in the future. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. It's a little click for you, but it really does help the channel. Cheers. So if you've been watching my recent videos, you'll know that I've been concentrating on making trees and bushes for the back of the layout, and this is the finished result. So this is part of the embankment. So in real life, there's a few more weeping birches there. And as you can see, I've pretty much finished making all the bushes on the back there. So that fills up nicely. And I'm going to say that other than keeping on top of it and maybe a little bit of static grassing towards the track, I'm quite happy with how that's come out. So I'm going to say that is pretty much finished now over the back. Things I've still got to do. I've got on order a few bits and pieces from Westhill Wagon Works, some 3D printed concrete conduit channel to go down in the cess between the track and the embankment. Got to put that in. Might have to do a little bit of chopping about along here to put some relay cabinets in. And then when I've done that, I must get on and start putting the overhead electric equipment in. So I've got some scale scenes portals, which I'll use because Westhill Wagon Works haven't released the type that I need for this stretch of the railway. So from what I've been looking at on Google Earth and watching videos of driver view journeys from Euston up to Northampton and Birmingham, which covers this stretch of the railway, there's a combination of portals that stretch right across the railway. They're quite wide portals, wider than you would normally get on a normal, 4-track spaced line, and they carry on. They're set at about 60 meters. I think 60 meters I think is standard for overhead portals. So I'll be doing that in scale, whatever that works out to be, in 4mm to the foot. And then once overhead electric's done, I can then start working on this side of the layout. So obviously I've still got to glue these embankments down, cover them with plaster cloth, etc. and then put the vegetation in, and also I've got to do the same this side. In real life it's quite overgrown here, so I'm going to try to recreate that. I don't want to go too high, because if I do and I get a derailment over there, I run the risk of damaging stuff as I reach over. I mean, I've already found that out to my cost here. It's been a couple of times I've had a train derail and I've had to put it round. There's these trees here, they get in the way, and of course they're all stuck in now, so they can't be moved. But I do have a set of steps I can use to jump up on to give me a little bit further reach. And then when all that's done, a few more bits of undergrowth in the yard. And then the plans for this end. Now, originally I wasn't going to do anything over here. This part is literally just a bridge to go from the fiddle yard round into the scenic section. And originally the two bridges were going to be my scenic breaks. But as you can see, I've added a bit more vegetation over the back. Makes it look a little bit more attractive. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to build buildings to go over these tracks. Now they're going to be a copy of some of the buildings that were in situ in Wolverton. I've got some photographs that I'll insert here to show you what I mean. So you'll have the factory buildings here, which were the works, and then on this area here, the cunning plan is I'm going to have a lift out scenic section. It's not going to have any railway on it, but it's going to stretch from this side to this side, and that would allow me to finish off Stratford Road, which will come down back down to layout level, and I'll be able to model the area of Creed Street, which is about here, which went on to Stratford Road, and then in the section between Creed Street and the railway there was a place called Glyn Square, or there is a place called Glyn Square, and it's basically a retail development. And then behind the retail development there is what was originally the Works Laundry, which is now Atlas Gym. And next door to that, coming this way, there's a building that was the apprentice school for the Works, which is now a warehouse selling furniture. And then right on the very edge there, so about here, there is a BT telephone exchange. So the plan is to have the tail end of Church Street coming along to a T-junction and going off to the dead end road that is between the back of the Glyn Square development and the aforementioned gym and apprentice school. Because of the space I've got, I've had to miss out quite a lot of the industrial complex, because there was, between this section that's modelled and the bridge, there is actually a big industrial unit that used to be the paint shops for the Works, but is now used by Zanussi as a white goods storage depot. Obviously, I didn't have the space to put that in, so I've deleted that from my layout. But I still want to give it the feel for how Wolverton is, or was, back in the late 80s, early 90s. Because in real life, these buildings that are going to go over the railway here, they've all been demolished, and there's a car park there for a Tesco superstore, which they built. And I don't want Tesco's superstore on my layout. So I'm going to kind of do a what-if scenario that, you know, that the Works didn't lose its purpose back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it's still operational. So hopefully with the building here, that will hide the curve. Because in reality, the West Coast main line goes straight up that direction towards Wolverton Viaduct, Havisham, Castlethorpe, and then the track goes on to Northampton, where it's, well, the track splits. One bit goes to Northampton, the other bit goes up towards Rugby. But because of the modelling, I've had to do a bit of a modeller's license thing there and bring the tracks round. So I'm going to hide these tracks with the buildings. Stratford Road's going to come down to a T-junction. The T-junction's going to go on to Creed Street. You're going to have the Royal Engineers pub there. Glyn Square. And the gym, the telephone exchange, and what was the apprentice school here. And that's going to be able to be lifted away. So if I make it using Celotex 50mm Celotex sheets, it'll be nice and lightweight. And I only got to put some battens along here, just to support it. And obviously when I'm using the modelling desk, that will be taken away and put somewhere safe. And then when I'm having an operating session, it'll go back. That'll keep me busy, I think, for the next 18 months, I think. And then ultimately, and I've discussed this with Mrs. Wolverton Centre Sidings, I'm going to build a cover to go over the fiddle yard. Take these shelves down. Build a cover to go over the fiddle yard that's removable, so in sections. And then I will have some houses, some Victorian houses, to represent the town of Wolverton as it goes up the hill towards Wolverton. Towards Hodgley and Stacey Bushes. So if you're from the area, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not, don't worry, it'll all make sense when it's done. But I mean, originally I had plans of building a copy of the actual Wolverton works, but I mean, I'd need a building to do it justice. I would probably need a building that's 100 metres long, and that ain't even going to happen. Not unless I win the lottery, which is, you know, not likely. So I thought, well, you'd have Stratford Road here, and then here you'll have the start of the town, and it'll, you know, give me a chance to put some buildings on. And they'll be in sort of like, I don't know, 18-inch 2-foot sections that I can lift them off to access here. It's doable. It'll take a long time. It's the engineering behind it that's gonna take some head scratching, because obviously I'm gonna need access to underneath here. The reason I can't put the fiddle yard underneath is because I use the underneath for storage. I mean, I've got my push bike, bits and pieces, toolboxes, and all the rest, and plus all the modelling paraphernalia there, and stock boxes full of locos and coaches and wagons. And then underneath that side I've got my toolboxes and some shelving. So, you know, this is already 4 feet off the ground, so, and that was dictated by the height of my bike. I have got to relay at some point these sections. I was a little, I basically, inexperience of how these things work. These are called Parliament hinges, and what I did was I put them down too low. So the idea is, as you open this, it's supposed to lift up and then lift away so that the track clears, but because I put the hinges down so low, the track was getting caught. So I don't know if you can see that. There's quite a big gap there. And I mean, the trains go over it okay, they just make a clatter. I want to just improve that, so I'm going to relay these sections of track. This is why I haven't ballasted here. Relay and same this side, although these ones aren't so bad, but I could still probably do with redoing it. So re-engineering the lift up section. So that'll keep us busy. I'm rather proud of my forest. I've got some very good feedback off of people about this. I'm glad you guys like it. I didn't want to do the typical summer scene, so that's why I decided to do autumn. And because Milton Keynes in the autumn is rather spectacular, you've got all the different colours of the trees, I decided that's the time of year I was going to do. The reason I've got the Blue Bridge at that end and the Stratford Road Bridge at that end is because it gives a nice sort of bookend to the layout. So there's the latest acquisition. That's a Lomac from Clark Railworks. That is a really nice model. If you can get hold of one, I recommend it. Nice and heavy as well. Feels like it's die cast. Obviously the JCB doesn't come with it. That's a HO scale JCB that I've stuck on there just for effect. And I've also made a start on doing the fencing along the back. It's not glued down yet. You'll notice that there are different sections at different colours. That's because I've got using up the remains of what was used on my last layout. I've also bought some of these Westhill Wagon Works engineers trolleys. Focus on there. They're really good. You get 6 in the pack, and I think the pack was $8.95. So they've got to be painted, detailed up, and then strewn around in the layout. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it if you would leave a comment, like, or subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.